Okay, in this practice we're going to move around and get grounded and connected, and we're going to use both ends of our mat. So if you have the space, I encourage you to put your mat parallel to mine. And when I talk about which leg we're using, I'm going to talk about the leg closest to the camera or the leg away from the camera. So close to the camera and away from the camera rather than rights and lefts. So another thing you could do, if you can, is to take this video out into nature, because we want to get grounded and connected to nature as a way to become better connected both to ourselves and to those around us. So if you can't get out in nature, maybe grab some houseplants or your pets and have them around your practice to give you that sense of creation, something bigger than ourselves. If you like to work with a chair or blocks, strap, go ahead and grab those things. And then we're going to get started on our backs today. So I invite you to start with your feet flat on the ground. Maybe tuck your shoulder blades together. Lift your toes up. Spread them wide and lay them back down. Feel that enliven your legs a little bit. And then return to your breath. Maybe holding one hand on your belly and the other hand on your rib cage or your sternum. Try and be sure that the belly is rising first. Belly, rib cage, up to the collarbones, and in reverse. Inhaling belly, rib cage, collarbones, and exhaling. Relax your shoulders. Keep those feet grounded. Get that ocean breath sound going. If you're unable to be out in nature, or have some living things like plants and pets around you, maybe imagine a place in nature that you really love. Fill in the details, like the sky, is it cloudy or sunny, the temperature, and if you're actually out in nature, notice those things around you. You might even, if you had your eyes closed, gently open your eyes and check out the sky. One more deep breath. Then on your next exhale, gently draw your knees into your chest, holding your shins on the backs of your thighs. Rock a little bit from side to side. Check in with your low back. Give your rib cage a little massage. Maybe make some circles with your ankles or flex your toes, point your toes. If it's safe for your spine, gently raise your head up towards the ceiling. Maybe rolling your shoulders a little bit, just to check in with your body. And then go ahead and put your feet down again. Release your arms. And now that you've gotten just a little motion going, decide on your intention. So we want to be mindful of how our bodies feel and anything that's going on, but also keep moving forward. So how is it you would like to practice on the mat today? And perhaps something you can carry off the mat as well. And then we're going to start some yoga bicycles. So on your next exhale, drawing your left knee into your chest, maybe bringing your head and shoulders up to meet it, and stretch your right leg out wherever it's safe, low to the ground and straight, or a little higher up and bent, depending on your back. And then we're going to switch. Right knee in, left leg out. Or the knee closest to the camera in. And then switch. Knee further away in. So just keep moving from side to side, starting to feel the heat in your belly. You could swing that bottom leg like a pendulum a little bit. You could lay your head down. It's starting to tax your neck too much. You could roll your ankles or flex. We're going to do one more set. Draw the knees into the chest again, lay the head down and plant the feet. Lift those toes, spread them wide, tuck the shoulder blades together, lay the feet back down. Maybe bend your elbows 90 degrees, fingertips towards the sky. And inhale, lift your hips in a first bridge pose. So maybe start at about 50%. Stay there for a breath. Feels okay with your body, lift a little higher, maybe 75 or 80%. Stay there for a breath. And then if you want to go a little higher, just checking in kind of with your edge. Lifting. And exhaling. Lower down. Nice. Just going to roll toward the camera and gently grab that top leg for a quad stretch. Just checking in with your thigh, your knee. Still keeping the spine nice and long. You're taking the tailbone towards the end of your mat. May give you a little more stretch in the quad. So gently release that, safely rolling back onto your back. Adjust those hips as you need, plant your feet, and then inhale, lift your hips up again in a bridge pose, maybe noticing the difference from one side to the other. It's kind of a fun yoga moment. And drop down, but of course we have to even ourselves out. So even if you're going to have your back to the camera, it's okay, you know what to do. Same side, roll to the second side, find your foot or your ankle. Take your tailbone towards the bottom of the mat and gently stretch that thigh. And then roll back onto your back. Set yourself up for one more bridge pose, lifting your hips up. We're going to stay here for 3 deep breaths. Just taking in the temperature of the air around you, the light, the sounds. And then reconnect to your breath one more time, lifting, lifting. And exhaling, drop your hips. Knees into the chest. Rock from side to side a little bit. You could roll to one side and bring yourself up to seated, or you could do a little rock and roll, depending on how your back feels. Come on up to an easy seated pose. And take a moment to check in with your spine, relax your legs. We're going to take an easy twist. So inhale, get really, really tall. And exhale, twist toward the camera. Maybe dropping your head, moving it around a little bit. Just keep your spine nice and long. And exhaling, gently release. And then do the same thing, twisting away from the camera, just checking in what's around you. Maybe it's an opportunity to get to the first glimpse at one of those plants or pets. exhaling, gently release. And we're going to roll ourselves onto all fours and get a little bit of bird dog, cat-cow going all at the same time. So I'm going to take the leg that's furthest away from the camera and stretch it out. And point my toes towards the floor, and then internally and externally rotate that leg bone in the socket. So turn the toes out, and turn the toes in, turn the toes out, turn the toes in. One more time. Turn the toes out, turn the toes in. And inhale if you want to lift the heel and the crown of the head a little bit. And then exhale, knee to nose. For that cat shape, we'll do that 2 more times. Inhale and heel out, crown of the head up if it feels safe. And exhale, knee to nose. And one more time, leg out, head up. You can come up on your fingertips. And ground your hands and exhale, knee to the nose. Stay here for a breath. Still light on those wrists. And then go ahead and drop that knee. And then take the leg closest to the camera out, or the second side. All right, and then rotating the leg and the hip socket, toes out, toes in, toes out, toes down or in. Drawing those upper arms toward each other one more time. Toes out, toes in. And heel up, crown of the head up. And exhaling everything out. Knee to the nose. 2 more times. Stay connected to your breath. Fully alert to whatever's around you. When you get your knee to your nose that last time, stay for a breath. Make your spine longer. And gently release. We're going to find ourselves into a child's pose, so however that's comfortable for you. Maybe take your knees a little further apart and your big toes together. Checking in as your hips go back towards your heels. Remember, you could pad your space between your hips and your heels with a block. You could put the block under your head. If this is really uncomfortable for you, find another gentle, relaxing forward fold, seated or maybe on your back. Settle in. Stick with your intention. So then we're going to get an easy side stretch here. I'm going to walk my hands away from the camera. Stack that one hand on top of the other. Pull the opposite hip back. So what might be interesting here is if you want, just listen to my voice, drop one shoulder toward the mat, and then release that and drop the other shoulder toward the mat, just getting a different kind of side stretch, maybe in the shoulder joint or the waist. And settle in for a breath. And walk your hands through center over to the other side. Right? Take a moment to find that stretch in the side body. And then maybe rock your shoulders. Good, then inhale and come back through center. Reach your arms way far forward. Bring your shoulders over your wrists. Slowly and gently realign your knees with your hips, your sitting bones. You could be on your toes if you like here. And then squeeze the elbows in towards your ribcage as you exhale, pushing into the index finger and the thumb especially. Chest and chin down to the mat. And lengthen yourself out. So feel yourself grounded here from the tops of the feet to the pelvis. Again, the tailbone reaching towards the bottom of your mat. Then feel your rib cage and lots of energy out through the crown of the head. And when you're ready, take your fingertips forward and wider than the edges of your mat. You might be feeling the ground underneath you now. Push those feet into the mat and inhale, gently raise your shoulders and gaze at the front of the mat. You might not go very far yet, keeping your elbows bent. Shoulders dropping away from the ears. And exhale down. So do that again as minimal motion or as deeply as you like. Inhaling, raising up, and exhaling down. Use those strong legs. Inhaling, raising up, and rippling down. See if you can do a couple more, feeling like the wave of an ocean, drawing the back of the neck up, inhaling, and dropping the rib cage, exhaling. One more time, inhaling, and exhaling. And make a pillow for your head with your hands and breathe for a moment. Or even be breathed by the air around you. We're going to do a locust pose of your choosing. So you could do half locust, just doing the legs. You could raise your shoulders up. You could take cactus arms, or goalpost arms, or reach your fingertips towards your ankles. So find an intensity that you can stick with for 5 deep breaths. Not too much tension. Inhaling and exhaling. Perhaps that's your 3rd breath. Maybe work a little harder. One more breath. Now release your legs down. If you move your arms, make that pillow for your head with your hands. Bend your knees and gently windshield wiper your legs from side to side. Good. Then relax the legs down. In several breaths, we will find ourselves standing. So you can do that by coming to all fours and just standing up. You could reverse your push-up on your knees or your toes. Come through downward facing dog for a breath or two. Maybe walking out your dog. So take your time. If you're already in Tadasana, just ground your feet. If you're in downward facing dog, safely find your way to standing, maybe keeping the knees soft and inhaling, arms up over the head. And we all meet in Tadasana. Okay. So we're going to ground ourselves into a chair pose. Wiggle your toes. Check in with your feet. They should be right under your hip bones, parallel, and sit down in your heels. Maybe just checking in, shifting your body weight from side to side and see how that feels. In the backs of your calves, ankles. On an inhale, you're going to lift the leg closest to the camera in a lowercase h and sit it down again. And do the other side. Inhaling the second leg up and sit it down. And one more time, lift that first leg closest to the camera up. And then we're going to step it back. Just in a gentle high lunge. Doesn't have to be too deep. Checking in with the knees, softening, and lifting that back thigh. So adjusting your feet, softening, and lifting that back thigh. Maybe you go a little deeper, softening, feel it in the hip flexor. So find your high lunge, and then sweep your arms up. So I still have my back heel up for now. Take another breath. You might bring your hands to your heart center. Little baby steps or one big step. We're coming back to that lowercase h. Use your drishti or focus on something in your environment. And back to Tadasana. And again, wiggle your toes. Sit down into your imaginary chair. And then you're going to lift the second leg up. And exhale back into a gentle high lunge. Heel is still up. Softening and lifting. And finding your range. Maybe the feet are getting further apart. Find your high lunge. And sweep your arms up again. Feel that supporting front foot really grounded. When you're ready, hands to the heart center, lifting that back knee into lowercase h. Good job. And back to Tadasana. So we're just going to kind of build, just keep building on these motions. Sit down into your imaginary chair, shift your weight from side to side. Feel the earth underneath you. When you're ready, first side, lift the knee up. And exhale, take the leg back. This time, settle into your warrior one pose. So space between the heels, toes diagonally out, if you can. If it bothers your knee, you could stay in high lunge, lift that heel. Sweep your arms up. We're going to turn ourselves all the way around to the other end of the mat for warrior two, right? So you're switching, facing the other direction now. Your hips are long edge of the mat, right? Other toes pointing straight out, heel to arch alignment. Bend and straighten a couple times. Notice what's at the other end of your mat. Keep moving. Stay connected to your breath. And then find some stillness. 3 deep breaths. Nice. Then inhale, go ahead and straighten that bent leg, soften the knees, and you're coming right back to that side in a triangle, right? So hips are still facing the long edge of the mat, shoulders stacked, spine nice and long. Maybe the hand goes to the thigh or the shin, right? Sweep your top arm up and around and open up, maybe gazing at the sky again. Reimagining yourself in that place in nature if you happen to be indoors. Can you take 2 more deep breaths here? Then release that top hand to the hip. Look at your big toe. Soften that knee. Adjust your foot so that you can come to a high lunge safely on the other side. So you're going to have your back to the camera a little bit here. We're going to take the other arm and just sweep it around in some big circles, twisting toward your front leg. Inhaling up and around, best you can. 3 or 4. Just feeling that nice opening, twist, stretch. And then finish your flow. So top of a push-up plank, knees or toes. If you don't want to go all the way to the mat, remember you could come to all fours. You could put your hands on a chair. Exhaling, chest and chin down. Inhaling, cobra or an up dog. And find your downward facing dog or tabletop. Again, hands on a chair, whatever works. Take a big inhale and an exhale. Feel yourself grounded, long and strong here. Then move yourself forward. Keep moving forward so we can find Tadasana at the other end of our mat. Inhale your arms up and exhale your hands to your heart. Let's see what we can notice on this side. Stick with your intention. Lift the knee closest to the camera up. And exhale back, finding your warrior one on this side. Couple breaths here. How much space can you take up? And when you're ready, we're going to open ourselves up to the other end of the mat. All right, and find your warrior two. Maybe bending and straightening a couple of times. And then settle in. Good, go ahead and straighten that front leg, and we'll find triangle on this side, right? So tilting the pelvis, lengthening out through the crown of the head, shoulders stacked. Sweep that top arm around, open up. Few nice deep breaths here. Filling your entire lung, both sides, top and bottom, equally. Then relax that top arm, look at your big toes, soften the knee. And you find your way through whatever flow is right for you, using the chair, the wall, your mat. Modify as you need. Okay, that leg that's furthest away from the camera, bring it back to high lunge because we need to do our twists, right? Use that arm. Twisting toward the front leg. Maybe 3 or 4 times. And exhaling, then find your downward facing dog. A few minutes ago I was looking at that little bit of a sad plant in the dark blue pot behind me thinking, nature's not perfect. Neither am I. But we knew that. Take a breath. And then just keep moving forward. Find your way to the top of the mat. Tadasana. And exhale your hands to your heart. Nice. So we're going to keep moving. Lift that knee closest to the camera. Find your warrior one. We'll make this a little more smooth. Turn yourself around the other end of the mat. Find your warrior two. Inhaling, straighten that front leg. Find your triangle. Inhaling, find your high lunge. Sweep the arm for a twist. Take one breath here, so you're twisting toward your front leg. Exhaling, hands to the mat, find your flow. So straight spine, extended spine, long spine again. This time, the leg that's closest to the camera, you're going to lift up in the air. Bend the knee, stack the hips. If you want to flip your dog, this is the opportunity to flip your dog, grounding yourself the other way with your chest in the air. If you flipped your dog, come on back. Pull the knee into the chest. Safely find your way to high lunge. All right. And then scoot that back foot in a little bit so we have warrior one legs. All right. The foot that's closest to the camera should be in front. I've got a block under my other hand, opposite shoulder. Feel your spine nice and straight. Ideally, the front leg is straight. Pull the low belly in. We're going to twist toward that front leg. Revolve triangle. Find some length. Take up more space. And reconnect to your breath. Just be fully present to whatever is going on in your body. And there's a lot going on. Exhale, gently release that. Bring the back foot to meet the front. Find your chair pose again. This time we're going to twist toward the camera. So finding that twist in your chair pose. Nice. Release that. Come to Tadasana. And exhale your hands to your heart. And for a little bit of a breather, we'll take a traditional tree pose. So take that leg that's closest to the camera, turn the knee out. Use your drishti. Use a wall or a tree or something available for support if you need. And grow your tree. And then quietly come right back to Tadasana for a moment. Shift your body weight from side to side. And bring that leg closest to the camera up. We do the same series. On the second side, lift the knee. Find your warrior one nice and fluid. Turn yourself around. Find your warrior two on the other side. Inhaling, straighten that leg. Find your triangle. Transition yourself to high lunge here. Take a moment to find that twist toward that front leg. On an exhale, you're going to finish your flow, lowering yourself to the mat or finding a chair or the wall. Find a back extension, some kind of cobra, up dog, modified up dog, downward facing dog. Take a breath. If I forgot something on this side, I can't remember what it is. So we'll just keep moving forward. Lift that leg closest to the camera in the air. Bend the top knee. Stack the hips. Flip your dog if you like. Come on back if you flipped your dog. Bring the knee into the chest. Safely finding your way to high lunge on this side. And then setting up for warrior one legs. I'm going to grab my block. Transition safely. If you don't have a prop, you can have your hand on your thigh or your shin. So we move our legs in closer to one another. Hopefully this front leg stays straight. Spine nice and long, like somebody could have breakfast on your back. And then you're going to twist toward that front leg. You can see that my arm is still coming off the back, so it's not exposing the head and the arm bone. Lots of energy out through the crown of the head. Be Be fully present to what's ever going on, whatever's going on. And come back to your breath. Then release that. Find your Tadasana. And exhale your hands to your heart. And you can probably feel in your body that it's ready for that tree pose on the second side. Release that leg. Use your drishti. Once you get nice and stable, grow your tree. And exhaling, come on back. So one of the things we can do, move some energy around, is it's like a swinging fold with a big ha sound on your exhale, right? So remember, you do you. You're your own best teacher, stay safe. But it looks like this. You're going to inhale, take your arms up in the air. And exhale, soften your knees, fold forward, and say the ha sound. And then inhale deeply again, standing up. And swing down, exhaling. So keep doing that if it feels good. It's a little bit of a bounce at the bottom as you change directions. Just keep going. You can keep your eyes open and fully alert. We do one more. Biggest inhale yet. Biggest exhale. Come back to Tadasana. And exhale your hands to your heart. Find one place to rest your gaze and do a little body scan. Feel the energy around the crown of the head. Soften the shoulders, back of the neck long. Ribcage and abdomen just moving with the inhale and the exhale. Tailbone dropping towards the heels. Legs firm. So thigh bones rotating slightly inward while your lower legs rotate slightly outward. And then if you like, lift your toes and spread them wide and lay them back down. So feeling yourself connected, grounded. Nice. So we're going to bring ourselves down to the mat. Finish with a twist and some gentle stretching. So I'm going to take one leg way back, doesn't matter which one it is. Flip that back knee down. Come to all fours. I'm going to sit on one hip, right? Doesn't really matter which one it is. My feet are pointing, out to the side, knees forward. If your hips are tight, you could sit up on a block. I'll give you a little more space. I'll get your spine nice and vertical. Inhale, get tall, and exhale. Twist away from your feet. Just take in whatever's around you. So when you're ready, you're going to shift a little more body weight onto that hip so you can take the top leg and find yourself in a half-seated fish pose. Bothers you to have that knee out. You can stretch the leg out. All right, so inhaling, take that arm of the top leg behind you for some support. Take the other arm way up in the air, like you're hanging from your wrist. And then find your twist. Get an opportunity to just look, see what's around you. Be observant and fully present. And then maybe sweep your attention, your gaze over the other shoulder. And then if you're able, stack your knees like cow face pose. So this is a nice hip stretch. The goal is to get the knees kind of on top of each other, or you could call this seal pose with the feet out like flippers. This might be enough. You should feel this in your hip joints. If you'd like to go deeper, you could gently fold forward. So you want to think about your sitting bones, wherever you are, dropping into the earth as the crown of the head extends up and away. Feel free to move your head around. If you folded forward, gently unfold and take that top leg straight out to the side. Move your other knee diagonally away. So we're in a half straddle. You're going to sit up tall. Maybe wiggle that leg a little. Take the opposite arm up in the air and gently fold toward that extended leg. Just noticing where the tight place is. How can you breathe into it? Staying connected to the sensations in your body. Staying connected to your intention. Gently releasing that, bringing your shoulders back over your hips. Now we're going to turn our hips toward that extended leg for Janu Shirsasana. Right. Rib cage is facing that extended thigh. You could use a strap if you want, or hold on to your thigh or your shin, or find your foot. So hinging from the hip, right, not rounding. If you're rounding like this, try sitting up on a block. If you have one, it will give you more space. I'll show you how. So we keep a little bit of a micro bend in this extended knee now that it's up in the air. This gives you the freedom to take your hips forward so that it's about the back of the leg and not the low back. It's worth it. All right, so if you can keep that folding from the hip joint, just take a couple more breaths. So release that and slowly transition to that same series on the second side. All right. So I've got my feet pointing the other direction. Again, you could sit up on a block for your hip. You could unfold that bottom leg and keep the foot flexed a little bit if that bothers your knee. You're going to twist away from your feet. Just taking a moment to check in with your environment. So many things you can notice when you slow down. And then we're going to take that top leg and adjust it, crossing it over for our half-seated fish. You could stay on the block. Inhale. Take one arm behind you and feel like you're hanging from your wrist. Stick with it. We're almost there. Maybe change your gaze. Look over the other shoulder. And transition yourself to some kind of hip stretch. Or you can stack your knees. You could be in easy seated pose if your hips are really tight, right? You could do lazy pigeon instead. If you're able to keep your knees stacked a bit, sit up tall or fold forward. Come back to your breath. I mean, you can literally feel in your hips, sometimes your brain will go to the things that you're holding on to. Exhale. Let them go. Pull your low belly in. Take that top leg out for a half. Straddle pose. Lengthen the opposite side and gently fold. See what you notice on this side. And gently release that. We're going to turn our hips toward that extended leg for Janu Sirsasana. So stick with your breath. Hinge from the hips. Use a block if it's helpful. Keeping this foot flexed. Toes back towards the shin will help protect that knee. Just find some length. And then gently release. I invite you to take a moment and just check in with your body and decide if you are finished and ready to settle into Shavasana, or if you would like to take a moment to do another pose. So maybe it's just one last down dog, or a child's pose, or a little of both. So we're just going to get ready to settle in for some stillness, the all-important Shavasana. So do whatever you need to do to get yourself there. Maybe you have a blanket with you, grab a blanket so you can cover yourself up. If you have a block with you, you could extend your Shavasana today into a gentle inversion by putting the block under your hips, or not. Remember, it has 3 different settings. You could extend your legs out, a gentle back bend, being careful of your low back. So recalling your intention already, trusting that it's been accomplished and you can let it go. Give yourself that mental pat on the back for keeping moving forward. And connect to your breath one more time until you don't need that connection anymore and you can just be fully present. So try and be still. Put yourself in a place where you're not going to need to adjust for a couple of minutes. Nothing to do until you hear my voice again. Take one more deep inhale without any motion in the rest of your body, and one deep exhale, maybe even sighing it out the mouth. Then before you move, notice your environment, how you're grounded into the earth, the temperature, the light, the living things around you. We're no less alive than we are. And maybe your next breath involves wiggling your fingers and your toes. Maybe the breath after that involves your ankles and your wrists. There's no right or wrong way to get moving again. If you were moving a block, maybe using a block, maybe your next breath moves that out of the way. And after that, you can involve your knees, or your hip joints, your elbows, whatever you need to safely come to seated. If you like, or you could stay rolled to one side. If you've come to seated, sit up tall. Perhaps close your eyes. Feel the energy you've created in your body, maybe even palms facing up. So remember to stay connected to your breath. Keep moving forward and be fully present to all the living things around you. And as Richard Rohr reminds us, remember that such connection and presence are as freely available as the air we breathe and the water we drink. Bring your hands to your heart center. Bow your head, your heart, for showing up yet again to take care of yourself so that you can be your best for others. The Spirit in me honors the Spirit in each of you. Namaste. Thanks for practicing with me. See you soon.